people make some critical mistakes. So we are going to first do the easier one. All right. When you have the side as unknown, because if you set these up properly, your B and your C won't be the unknowns, okay? If you have the side in the opposite angle, your unknown will either be here or it'll be an angle. So we're going to do the unknown side first. Generally what I do is I start by getting a square for both of these and jotting it down. So we have 484 and we have 961. Okay, this is where you want to be careful. And what I would recommend, because most calculators will do this, is that you do this in one shot. If your calculator will let you put in -2 times 22 times 31 times cosine of 135, then do that. If you have to kind of do it backwards, like the classroom set of calculators, you would do 135, take the cosine, times 31 times 2 times -2, but do it times -2. Because if you're just doing this, sometimes that set is already negative, and if you forget to do the negative, then you've got the wrong sign. Does that make sense? So you want to do all of this as one command if possible. Keep it all in your calculator. So if you put that all in, what do you get? 964.494. Okay. And that is positive if you included that negative, so we're going to add it. So all of this is just a sum. So go ahead, if that's in your calculator already, go ahead and add 961 and 484. So we get x squared is 2409.494. You're not done because we don't want x squared, we want x. So what do? Take the square root. And if that decimal, unrounded, is still in your calculator, just take the square root of what's in your calculator. So if you have 2409.494, you can either immediately at the square root key if your calculator does that, but if your calculator shows the square root in, that's where that answer key comes in. Do square root, second answer or answer, and it's going to put this in your square root. That's where that answer key is very handy. You don't have to retype in the decimal. If it's already in your calculator, use it. You should get 49.087. Yes? Perfect. Okay, and if you're having flashbacks to solving square roots from algebra, and you're like, oh, it's positive and negative, does the negative make sense in this case? It's supposed to be a side length, right? So it doesn't make sense. All right, so that would be the missing side length. So this algebra is not so bad. You mainly have to be careful because if the cosine of the number is negative, then with the rest of this, it's going to be positive. If the cosine is positive, then this number is going to be negative. That's where you want to watch, be careful with your signs. But if you do from here on over and get one number for it, you should be safe. Okay? And squaring a number should always be positive. All right? So let's do the one where you're looking for the angle. This one gets a little messy. People make some big mistakes on this one. All right, this one you want to be very particular with your steps. So we're going to do 30 squared, which is 900. 37 squared is 1369. 55 squared is 3025. And the next thing you're going to do are these three, because we don't know what x is. Can't do the cosine of anything at this point. So you're going to multiply these three. So -2 times 37 times 55 is -4070 cosine of x. All right. Usually people do okay with this up to this point. Remember, this is a package deal right now. Multiplication takes precedence over addition and subtraction. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract this and subtract that. If you want to add them together first, that's fine. So we're going to do this next. 1369 plus 3025 is 4394 minus 4070 cosine of x. Generally, if people were fine up until this point, what they do wrong is they subtract. You can't do that because you've got multiplication here, right? Like if I gave you 5 minus 3x, you wouldn't do 5 minus 3, right? You wouldn't do that here either, okay? That's package deal. These are multiplied. We're going to get rid of that. So we're going to subtract 4394 from each side. Don't panic getting a negative number because this is negative, right? So that's all right. So that is -4070 cosine of x. And how do you undo multiplication? Division. So now that we're to this point, you're going to divide out -4070, which is going to get rid of your negative. So we get 0.858. .8585 if you want to go even further. But here's the thing, there's that answer key again. Since that decimal is already in your calculator and you're looking for x, how are you going to get the cosine off of x? Nope. Squaring only undoes square rooting and vice versa. Remember, inverse of cosine is inverse of cosine. You have to do the inverse cosine to this. So since that decimal is in your calculator, you can either use the answer key to put it in, or if you do second cosine with that in, and some calculators will automatically do that. But if you have the one where you have to insert it in the previous one that we did, you'll have to insert it here, but do inverse cosine, second answer or answer, and it'll pop that in and take the inverse cosine of it. And hopefully you're coming up with 149.145, 146. Okay, we'll have to talk about your calculator, but you're basically doing the inverse cosine of that, because we do it to both sides. Part of this is getting to know your calculator and how to punch it in. go back a second, because it's, you know, to find less keystrokes, do 3494 divided by 4070, so you have that long decimal in there. And if you didn't get it right the last time, I'll try to go around before. Oh, hold on. That was not, I had a negative in there that shouldn't be. So 30 divided by 4070. Second cosine, second answer. 30.854. Yes? Okay. So 30.9, and that's degrees.